Tottenham 0, Bournemouth 1. Tottenham drop the final game before the international break in just a absolutely disgusting display at N17 today. Welcome into Top of the Perch. I am your host, as always, Nick Burt. The only club in the world that can look at like the greatest team ever formed in the history of all football against Manchester City 1 week ago can of course go and turn out like looking like a amateur squad of players who are just playing football for their first time ever today against Bournemouth. It was absolutely dreadful performance, lack of any attacking threat. There was no creativity really. Tottenham struggled in possession whenever they had it. Tactical adjustments didn't really happen when they probably should have. It was an all-out bad day for Tottenham Hotspur. It was 5th minute of the game. It was a cross into the box by Bournemouth into there was so many missed steps there on the defense, leads to Bournemouth scoring on just a absolute screamer of the goal into the far top corner of the net, and Vicario really couldn't do much about it. I know if he would have leapt just maybe a second earlier, he could have got a fingertip on it, but there wasn't much he could do. It was 1-0 Bournemouth just 5 minutes into the game, and truly there wasn't much after that. Vicario made some great saves today. Obviously, he misses one, and that's the one that doesn't matter. That's more on the rest of the team not backing him up today. This should have been a squad pulling off a 2-1, 3-1 victory, but here we are sitting with 0 in that, score box. And even for Tottenham, they had 0 shots in the first half. 0 shots whatsoever. It was dreadful. Like I said, there was a lot of struggle in the midfield. The press that Bournemouth was putting on wasn't really tactically adjusted to until I would probably say the 75th minute maybe. Tottenham, they looked lost out there today. It's simple as that. They looked lost. The final game before an international break, I don't think Tottenham have won one of those since, I want to say, the October window of 2024. Sounds about right. It feels like they always throw up an absolute stinker before an international break, and that's kind of what happened here today. I don't really know if there's much else to recap about the game itself. Richarlison, Brennan Johnson, both looked out of their league today. Kudus just wasn't getting the ball. That was more because of everybody else around him. Romero had an okay day. Van de Ven picked up a dumb yellow card that he probably shouldn't have. As in, he probably shouldn't have made the tackle because it was a clear yellow. Just overall felt very off from what we've seen in the first 3 official games under Thomas Frank, with that being, of course, the first 2 games of the league season and the Super Cup. It's mind-boggling how this team can look like they've done a complete 180 from last week. Last week, they looked absolutely incredible, and here we are now, and it's not great. It is not great at all. So, like I said, Tottenham had 0 shots on goal in the first half. I believe they ended up with 2 in the game. That sounds about right. It was 1 or 2. Again, absolute disaster of a performance. So let's get into the player ratings for today. No big shock here. There's going to be a lot of lower scores, starting at the top with Brennan Johnson, 6'5". I think his only saving grace was that he got subbed off early on in the second half. I believe it was like the 54th minute. Other than that, it was, like I said, he looked lost out there today. Looked like he didn't know how to play football. Very disappointing. Richarlison, kind of in the same boat, except he played the full 90 minutes. So he got a 5.9 today. Again, when he had the ball, he wasn't doing much with it. When he didn't have the ball, he looked lost out there. Just dreadful. Start to finish, it was dreadful. Mohamed Kudus, like I said, he just wasn't getting many opportunities today. And that's a bigger problem because he is one of our main playmakers. At least that's how it's felt in the first 3 games of the season. So it is what it is. Just a poor performance overall for the squad. Popsar, 6'2" today. Got subbed off in the 72nd minute, 75th, 76 maybe. I don't remember. It was somewhere in that range. But it wasn't the performance that we obviously saw last week. He put up an absolute stellar performance last week. And now here we are today. And it seemed like he couldn't get control of this Bournemouth team today. So he earns a 6.2. Joao Palhinha, who was the man of the match last weekend, again, there probably wasn't a bigger drop-off this week. It was just Bournemouth and seemed to know what to do here. They made it look easy on Tottenham today. If this is what we're going to see from this Tottenham team all of this year, it's a big problem. Because it is going to be a very long season if teams can break down Tottenham like that, because they clearly do not have the playmakers currently. We'll obviously get into the transfer situation in a little bit, but yeah, just not great. Rodrigo Bentancur, I thought, was the best of the players in the midfield today, and it's probably only because he played 90 minutes. He gets a 7.1. And even then, I think that's a very low 7.1. Just not great at all in the midfield today, honestly. It was just rough all around. And then we get to the back line. The only thing unchanged from the previous match and from basically any match this year. I know in the Super Cup they played it back 5. But still, you get the point. Spence, 6'5", It was decent. Congrats to him on picking up his first England call-up, though. That is absolutely massive for one of the best left backs in the league. Like I said, yellow card today, not great. Van de Ven, I mentioned earlier, picked up a yellow card that he shouldn't have because that tackle was just dumb to make in the first place. It is what it is. Earns a 6.9 on the day. Romero was the best player on the back line today. 7.3. Pedro Porro, 6.8. I think he kind of threw up a stinker today too. At moments it looked like he didn't know how to play the sport. It is what it is. And Vicario earns an 8.1. I thought he was the man of the match because he was the one that felt like he was making the most plays in this game. That's just how it played out. Not great when your goalkeeper is doing that, when you have some very good attacking options. But here we are. Let's take a look at the subs for today. Lucas Bergvall and Wilson Odobert came on in the 54th minute for Brennan Johnson and Joao Palhinha. Bergvall had the first shot or on goal of the game. I believe it was in the 71st minute. Sounds about right. I thought he was the best of the subs today, 6'5". Odobert right behind 6'4". He had another opportunity in this game. Came close, but it was an absolute stinker of a shot that he put up. So Those two probably put in the most since they played the most of the subs today. Destiny Udogie, back from injury, his first appearance of the season. He came on for Pedro Porro, earns a 6-3 in his roughly 20 minutes of game time played. I thought he did okay. And Matthijs Tel came on in the 78th minute or 76th, one of the two, for Popsar. It was what it was. It was one last throw of the dice to try to get, another attacking option out there for a goal. Obviously, that goal does not come. So, Thomas Frank, I gave him a 7 today. The lineup didn't feel correct to open up with the game. I felt like Bergvall probably should have started this game. Who you take out, I don't know. I feel like you had to have Paulinho out there after last week. Bentancur obviously was the best player of the day today, so I don't know if you could have taken him out. And Popsar has been one of the most consistent players for Tottenham this year so far. So even though I think Bergvall should have played, I don't know who you're dropping for him to play. So that makes it obviously a tough decision. But it also felt like tactically, like the team was kind of just stuck. It was stuck right now, and it is what it is. So now Tottenham go into the international break, meaning their next match will not be until the 13th of September when they travel south to take on West Ham United, a team in a just disaster of a situation right now. But of course, before all that, the transfer window does close on Monday. Tottenham announced the signing of Xavi Simons on Friday afternoon. That is obviously huge on the attacking end of things. Tottenham finally gets somebody in the door after losing out on so many attacking targets this summer. It's good to see a good face in the door, a good young face too that has experience on, the continental level. He's played, at PSG, came through La Masia at Barcelona. He obviously played for RB Leipzig, where he got signed from. He could be a very, very top talent. They give him the 7 shirt from Son, of course. It still looks very weird to see anything but Son above the 7 right now. But that is a crucial signing. Tottenham are trying to make some other signings before the window closes. Knowing this club, those signings probably aren't coming, let's be honest here. And one of the big things today, Dom Solanke didn't even make the squad today. It sounds like the injury to the ankle got re-picked up. That's another big problem. Tottenham don't have another backup striker, I should say. And we know Richarlison is always injury prone. So not great. Tottenham probably need to go find a striker, if we're all honest. But they won't. They're probably still chasing after a center back, which is something the club also needs. And they may need a left winger. They may need a left winger really bad because Brennan Johnson, not great today. And we know he throws up stinkers and then gets a goal at the back post. And, it's Johnson again. Ole, ole. You can't always count on that to happen. You need more consistency in the position. And Johnson's consistency right now is just being inconsistent. That's not ideal. Tottenham need to find a way around it. Hopefully find somebody that can play in that position. Johnson is consistently inconsistent. Tottenham cannot count on that. Obviously, with the fixtures starting to pick up with Champions League, obviously, right on the horizons past the international break. You got the Carabao Cup in there. Well, one, you're going to need squad depth. And they got a little bit more squad depth, but still. Tottenham realistically probably need to make 3 or 4 more signings in this window, and we know it's just not going to happen, given that there's 2 days left of the window. Don't think it's going to happen. Best we can hope for is 1. Think 1 we can achieve for. I'm not going to expect it because I barely expected Simone's to get in the door, but it is what it is. Tottenham need to get some business done. And they also need to get faces out of the door, too. That is another big thing. Yves Bissouma seemed to be on the way to Turkey, and then that fell apart because he's apparently out of shape. I don't know how true that is. I know he's been injured, apparently, according to Thomas Frank, so I don't know what's going on there. I know you got other faces that, you look at Manor Solomon, he's still there. It feels like the loan army is either going to start to really pick up here, or faces are just going to get sold at bottom of the barrel value in these final 2 days. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. It should be interesting to see what Daniel Levy does, because we always know he's got an eye for whatever. Can't wait to figure out what it is. So that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Top of the Perch. Thank you so much for watching. If you just stumbled across this video, click like, click subscribe, tell anybody you know about it. We'll be back maybe for an end of the window show. It depends on if Tottenham do anything. If not, we will see you back after the international break when Tottenham Hotspur faced West Ham United. So thank you so much for watching. We will see you again soon for another episode of Top of the Perch.